Most people lose their free will to those programs, and it's that uncompromising will where you keep training the animal to stay, to get beyond all the cravings, the feelings, the habits of the body.
The most beautiful and powerful thing in the world is a repetitive thought, but sometimes the most dangerous thing in the world is a repetitive thought.
The process of change really requires becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts. 90% of the time we think the same thoughts as we thought the day before. The challenge with that is the thought that you keep thinking over and over again becomes a belief. The more nerve cells fire, the more they develop long-term relationships, the more automatic they are, the more unconscious they become. When you come up against that unconscious belief and you make it conscious, most people get uncomfortable when they confront that thought. And they're stopping an automatic process. And the body, which has been conditioned to be the mind because it's doing something over and over again, is craving the experience because it wants the emotion associated with it, right? So the thought of being unworthy produces the feeling of being unworthy. That feeling then, when the person feels unworthy, tends to cause the person to think more unworthy thoughts. And this is where people have to make up their mind if they truly want to change. Because if you decide to confront that thought and make a different choice, get ready because you're going to feel uncomfortable. When people truly want to make up their mind to change and they become so conscious of those unconscious thoughts, they would never go unconscious to them again. That's the moment the body is being reconditioned to a new mind. If you inhibit that choice, that leads to that habit or that behavior. The body's craving the feeling of unworthiness and you're stopping the body from feeling that way. This is that river of change where you're going from the old self to the new self. So if you said, okay, I'm gonna sit down for a few minutes. I'm gonna become so conscious of my unconscious self, my unconscious personality, that victory today would not be going unconscious to those thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. Okay, let me get so familiar with them that I don't go unconscious. Okay, I got that down. Now, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain? When you truly begin to elevate your emotional state, your body is so objective that it actually believes that it's living in a whole new environment before the environment changes. You're actually signaling genes ahead of the environment, and your body will begin to become conditioned to a new mind. Now think about this. If you did that every day, the word meditation literally means become familiar with. You become familiar with your old self. You become familiar with your new self. And when you feel the emotions of your future, you're no longer in lack or separations. You feel like it's already happened. Get ready, because that's when your life begins to change. And it goes straight to the brain. And they start going into these elevated gamma brainwave patterns. It's a supernatural amount of gamma, standing waves of brain coherence. There's only one other arousal, and that's ecstasy. That's bliss. And the person all of a sudden feels connected to something greater. That feeling that they're feeling is not coming from anywhere outside of them. It's actually coming from within, and the love affair begins. So you switch on that primitive nervous system, and your brain starts firing very incoherently. And in fact, you could actually, by thinking about your problems, turn on the stress response just by thought alone. If the brain is narrowing its focus, what if we teach it how to do something else? What if we teach it how to broaden its focus? And the act of broadening the focus actually causes a person to slow their brain waves down. Anything that controls the way I feel and the way I think, I'm victim to, right? Okay. Or I actually can be a creator now. Remember that this is the experiment called life. Let me breathe, let me get my state back. Let me walk as the healed person. Let me walk as the abundant person. Let me walk as if my prayers are answered. Let me walk in the state. Every day, they had to show up for themselves. If they showed up and did the work, it means that they believe it's possible. And when you believe in possibility, you got to believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, you got to believe in possibilities.